welcome to our recording. Welcome to the video. This guy, Chief Jharl Tanglehair, is our character we're going to be playing as. Now, I went through a whole bunch of steps already before even unpausing the game. It is still, as you can see here, the 1st of January, 867. This game we're playing is Crusader Kings. Now, he is actually up here. This guy runs this area called the Westfold, or the Vestfold, depending on if you want to try to sound like a Swedish person. But I am really horrible at that accent and probably offending just about everyone in Sweden right now, so I'm going to stop. Anyway, that's not the point. The real point is that this guy has a special trait. Not that one. Vow of Tangled Hair. This character has issued a lifelong vow. They will neither cut nor brush their hair till they become the first King of Norway. And that's what we're setting out to do, but we are setting out to do a lot more than that. Now, I got the idea to play this character in particular from a video about the 5 most interesting characters that are not specifically picked out by Paradox Interactive as interesting in this particular temporal bookmark for the game. And he was listed as not just being a good pick in terms of the whole vow to conquer a kingdom in Norway, which means we have to take this, and all the way up to here before we can fulfill that lifelong ambition of his. But he also was mentioned as being one of the best possible candidates for creating the High Kingdom of the North Sea, which means we need to take all of this over here. We need to take all of this through here. And this bit. I'm not sure if Wales is or isn't included. And we have to have Iceland and these Orkneys, the Shetlands, the Falklands. Is that the Falklands? The Faroe? I don't know who owns those islands. I don't know if they even actually are that size in real life, even vaguely, but you need to take all of these things to basically unify all the North Sea. We also have to conquer this strip of coast, but that's more for a later time. This is going to be a generations-long project, but we are running against a clock, because one of the hardest achievements in this game is Canute the Greater, where you form that High Kingdom of the North Sea before a certain timestamp. And I think the time limit you have is actually comparatively tight. I think it is before the turn of the first millennium AD that has to be finished. So, we have taken a lot of steps. As you can see, he's dedicated his devotion to Freyr, because Freyr is the god of fertility, as you can see, and technically Freyr is a god according to the Norse religion, but what he is not a god of, what he is not a god within, I should say, perhaps, he isn't an Aesir. He is not one of the Aesir. He is one of the Vanir. The Vanir are a kind of parallel rival pantheon to the Aesir, that sometimes they're friends, sometimes they're enemies, sometimes they work together, sometimes they fight each other, sometimes they do both at once. It's complicated. Norse politics, pre-Christianization, are even more complicated just in general than they became afterwards. So, yeah, it's all a whole giant thing. But this guy is going to conquer all Norway or die trying. And he dedicated himself to Freyr not for the whole prowess in battle advantages that some of the other gods would have given him, but rather not for the fertility either. It was for this bit. Come on. It was for this bit here. Control growth. County control. And as you expand, having every bonus you can possibly get to control growth is super ultra important in this game if you're going to be doing a rapid expansion, which, for intuitively obvious reasons, he's definitely going to. And that's the same reason we went with this authority lifestyle focus within the martial skill tree, because it gives control growth too. It also gives dread gain, which will help keep our vassals in line, and a little bit of martial, which will help us win battles, because we're going to be leading them a lot. Now, additionally, we scoped out our neighbors. Now, this guy up here is way too strong to take on right now, but we will have to take him on later. This guy over here is also pretty authoritative. We could maybe go after this dude, but he is outside the scope of what we're trying to seize to get either the Kingdom of the North Sea or Norway, so we're not interested in him. That leaves two options. Our other neighbor is this guy. He's craven. He's got a middling martial education, and he's a flexible leader. He'll be kind of hard to conquer, except for the cowardice. But this absolute unit down here, not Sigurdur Snake in the Eye. No, that's not the one we're concerned about. It's this son of a bitch. That guy is dangerous. Now, if I'd realized he was a vassal to Sigurdur, I might not have put down this rally point over here in Sarpsborg, planning to attack him, because there's no real point if he's a vassal to Sigurdur Snake in the Eye, because trying to fight Sigurdur is, at this point in time, kind of suicide. So really that leaves us only one good option, and that is take out this dude, which can easily be done using the rally point right here in Vestfold. We don't need this one, but that one will become important later, because Sigurdur has a tendency to get himself killed in this game, and we're trying to avoid that for ourselves, but we'll wish it for him quite readily. And as a result, we are going to start right off. We have also done a little bit of jiggledy-pokerdy with our units. We raised some Vigmen, added some Bondi, and we traded out our light skirmishers for Huskarls. Now, why Huskarls? We could have gone with Varangian veterans, but one, they're more expensive in terms of prestige, and two, Varangian veterans are wanderers, they are adventurers, they are mercenaries. They are not the most loyal soldiers you can get, and more importantly by far, they are not loyal to your house, they are loyal to you personally. Now, that does definitely have some advantages, but Huskarls are loyal to your house. They are House Carls. They are the warriors sworn to the service of your house, and ipso facto, they will serve your heir much as they serve you, and with a similar level of loyalty, should the time come. Now, obviously, due to the nature of this game, we are attempting very hard to get an heir. We have also sent a proposal for our dear mother, much lamented being her husband, our father, whoever he was. It would appear, yes, this man, died of unknown causes. We want to investigate that later. But we have sent a proposal for our dear mother, who is a great diplomat, among other advantages, but we have sent a proposal for her to marry this guy over here, the chieftain of Mon. Or maybe one of his relatives or something. Anyway, not the point. We are trying to secure an alliance with him. Yes, actually it's his son that we've tried to marry to our mother. They are both greedy. Now he's compassionate and gluttonous and is Midas touched, which is great stewardship. That's very advantageous. Our mother, of course, is a great diplomat. The two of them together could become a force to be reckoned with. And Mom, dear Mom over here, still has a precious few good years to have another child, a sibling for us, in her. And through that sibling, we might be able to secure an additional alliance somehow, perhaps to the chieftain of Smaland or something similar. But right now, for the time being, it is time to unpause the game. Oh, we also shuffled around our council a little bit. The guy who preceded this one as our marshal was absolute pants at the job, completely incompetent. He had a martial skill of 4, and also a intrigue of 13, which is why, since he was better than our spymaster, we switched him over to be spymaster instead of marshal. Respect his talents, respect his gifts, make him do the job that he's best suited to rather than the one that he's not really suited to. Now, this woman isn't a fan of us. She doesn't like us and therefore does not endorse us. But we found a way to maybe possibly get rid of her and replace her with someone who does like us more, in that we have sent out an offer of marriage from her, well, acting on her behalf as her lord, to an absolute unit of a knight with a 20 prowess. Now that is very, very good. That is quite excellent. Especially since, as you can see, we are at the moment a little shy on possible champions, so getting a new one who's really, really good at his job right now is kind of a great move for us. All of that was done in advance, because you really should do almost all of that, or at least something vaguely similar to it, before you very first time you unpause the game when you begin playing. And that's exactly what we've done here, and now it is time to unpause and let the line play out on those various baits we've cast into the waters. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention. We also made our mother a shield maiden, because we could, basically. We had the prestige to do it, and it makes her a more desirable match. And here we have our new guy. He is a Berserk. Getting Berserk as a Viking is a giant pain in the ass and will probably result in the death of almost your entire family. So if you don't get it really soon out the gate, probably shouldn't take it, TBH. Now, additional to that... yes. Rogenhilder and Bjorn are now married. Excellent, excellent. Now we pause again, because those two lines have both played out at this point. And we have 6 champions. This guy's good. The question is, how much does he cost? He costs too much. He's certainly better than this guy here. We don't have the ability to create an accolade yet. Our knight effectiveness is 120%, which is... Ooh, we've got the Holy Site of Jorvik, and that's what's giving us the bonus. We better make sure that Jorvik does not fall back to the Christian hands. Now, we've done all of that. We have these 200 spearmen. Now, we could wait for the end of the month, and they'd reinforce. Maybe we're going to do that. Actually, yeah, I definitely think we're going to do that, because this is the first video in a series of me. Apparently, Inga... Oh, yes, we also needed to send out for a physician, because we did not have one yet, and that is super, super important to have. My heir is unmarried, And here is where I show you the true god strats of this game, which many of you doubtless will already be aware of. Traits, inheritable, and alliances, alliance. Now, as you saw, we didn't get any with both of those set. So, instead, we are going to select the reputable and powerful Siga. I think that's how it's pronounced. And we will send that proposal, because since she is fertile, this begins our eugenics program, which is absolutely critical to maximizing your success in this game. You breed people in this game like normal people breed horses, which is exactly why at some point we have to try to get rid of Chieftess Rogenhilder. Now, I will point out that I am playing with some light mods. I am playing with one that removes the cap on children. I'm playing with another that allows you to rename your children, but only before a certain age, which was actually not terribly uncommon in period. Back in this time, you often didn't even give your children a name, per se, at all until they were at least a year old, because it was kind of almost expected that they were going to die before then. Now, the game definitely does not simulate that, because it would be a giant downer, and, like, no one would buy the game, but that is historically accurate. That happened, like, a lot. That happened a huge amount. Every single time. So this is how we're running things right now. And we're gonna let the line play out till this reinforces for the first time. Good. Good. You're 23 and you're fertile. Let's begin. Now, by the way, eugenics is a field of science that is highly questionable at the best of times, and I have never even heard of it actually being used correctly as an articulated scientific method. That doesn't appear to ever happen at all. But, that having been said, while science does not appear to be capable of actually correctly employing eugenics as a concept or an anything, what it does appear to be capable... Aha! See? It has reinforced by 100 men for both of these, and a mere 20 for the Huskarls, unfortunate. And we are almost out of prestige. So, before we can go into prestige debt, it is time to declare war, conquer county, declare war, and since we use piety to declare that war rather than prestige, we are definitely about to go into prestige debt. That is absolutely certain. But what we are also about to do, more than likely, is completely curb stomp this fool. I mean, look, he's fielding 327 men against a force of over 1,000. He is about to die. And even if he lives, he's about to lose his land. That is certain at this point. There is no way he gets out of this without being conquered. That's basically not possible now. And I am, to a certain degree, following the guide in the video I used to choose this character. And that they recommended taking some of the steps I've already shown you we took. Not all of them. So many of them are also my little refinements. Because I'm not especially experienced in this game. I don't even have 5,000 hours. And yes, this is the kind of game where I don't have 5,000 hours, I'm not especially experienced. Just be aware of that. But, that having been said, this is a certain sort of game where one can do certain things comparatively easily if one knows how to game the system effectively. And if he attacks our holding right there, I am going to... Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's probably... I'm going to kill him for that one of these days. I will definitely kill that son of a bitch for this. Absolutely guaranteed. And he has made a critical error. He did not immediately retreat to the sea. Whereas we have only 1 day left. The war is... No. Hold up. Because we can take this army over to Oslo without ending the war. And armies raised as raiding armies have a natural... Haystein. Now, where have we heard that name before? I fancy the idea of having a Jharl Haystein. Let's... he's escaped. He's escaped. He's gonna get away, so we're going to stop the pursuit. We are going to terminate the war. Wait, no. There's one thing that I need to do before we do that. Come on. And that is I need to go to the prisoners and see if any of them can be ransomed. Now, we can ransom this one. And we're going to give a few days. Because if we don't ransom them first, they will just be freed with no reward to us. And we can do it one more time, maybe, with her. Yes. We've extracted as much gold from this guy as we possibly can for right now. And now we simply declare the war over. We enforce demands, we get his lands. One little raid, one convenient little attack, and we have gained massive bonuses in terms of money, even though we have lost hugely on prestige. But now we will... What? Ah, they're the hostile army, are they? Well, let's try to figure out. The commander is Jharl Heralder. Now, his marshal is good. It's an 11. Ours is 19. We might be able to pull this off. Now, of course, we cannot save scum to get this achievement because, well, that's how the game works. So, we are not going to. Norse scale hybridization. Well, this is interesting. Spurred by positive relations and increased cultural exchange, the Norse and the Gaelic peoples have grown increasingly close over the years. Now individuals from these societies have begun to view themselves as not one or the other, but as both. Simultaneously, a new Norse scale culture. Norse traditions and values form the backbone of this new culture, while various Gaelic attributes have been adapted and integrated to meet the needs of their new society. Whether out of skillful manipulation or a genuine desire to lead his people into a new era, High Chieftain Ivar has positioned himself as the leader of this cultural awakening. So, Ivar the Boneless has hybridized the Norse and the Gaels. We'll see what comes of that. You are too late. It is going to be a brutal and hard-fought fight, but I think we're going to win this one. And an ambushed ambush isn't very nice. You stole our shit. You should have run back to your own lands before you tried to raid anything else, because they were right there and you totally could have. Whereas we, for our part, are going to do exactly that. All the shit you took is ours now. Okay, well, interesting. We appear to have lost our steward. That is not great. And our spymaster, also not great. Gonna reassign this guy because he's honestly the best we have, other than this guy who totally has to be marshal guaranteed. And then we have a court physician also makes a good spy mistress. Interesting. I'm an equal opportunity employer. I'm a Norseman. I believe that women can lead. They often did in Norse society, much as this game will pretend that was not the case. And I'm not just talking about shield maidens. The queens were often the power on the throne just as much as their husbands. It was a different throne, but it was directly next to his and had equal authority to his. That is something most people don't realize about the Norsemen and their culture in the modern day, is that women were just as often leaders for the Norse as men. And it was not all about battle prowess either. This game is more based on the popular perception of the Norse at the time, rather than what they actually were really like, per se. And that's something you just kind of have to accept about it if you want to play. Now, I can raise a runestone. Oh, this'll be good. But what to carve? My vanquished foe. And, I put it in the wrong place, at the opposite end. Oh well. Can't save scum. It is what it is. So, we have done a little bit of raiding. I can train for a tournament. Ooh, there's a nice one. That one is very, very useful. I will start the training. And I increase my prowess by 1. Good. Now, this man is just become a man. And we will not be cutting his hair or cutting his beard, but we will be periodically using the barbershop to lengthen his beard until he conquers Norway. Because that's realistic. The beard just keeps growing. And he has vowed not to cut it, so it won't stay short, naturally. Now, I apparently have a child, so I will start the search for a wet nurse, because those are very important in the modern incarnation of the game. I will also go over to courtiers and see who else I can bring on board besides a wet nurse. Ah, yes. Oh, no. Ah. We will have ourselves a seneschal. Very important. Seneschals are important because what the seneschal does is, as you can see, once again, control growth. And that is absolutely key for major conquests. We also always in the modern incarnation of the game, these two buttons might as well not exist. This one is just a default. You don't divine charity, you don't advance research. Control, plagues, control, plagues, control, plagues, control, plagues, forever and always. It's the only thing you set them to do, because plague will destroy you. We could ransom him for a hook. Now, here's a little bit of a pro tip. You can gain a weak hook, same thing you would get from ransoming him, and recruit him as well. Now, it comes with an opinion penalty. That's certainly true. But you can do it, and I suspect he'll be useful. So, we've gotten these 3. Now, let's look at duchies. Well, we control enough of Vikin that we could, in theory, if we had enough money, create the duchy. But we don't. And that means that, depending on the time it is still March of the year. January, February, March. So, we do a little bit of trolling. And we go over here. We station these guys here in Rigobart. And, having stationed them there, we are going to set a new rally point here in the hills immediately above Rigobart, because that has borders on 3 separate baronies, which will make it good for a rallying point longer than it otherwise would be down here at Rigobart. Slightly longer. And having gotten all of that done, it is time to wait around just a little while in order to watch your step now. Okay, now, one thing you want to do periodically, see, this guy's already being useful. He's a dwarf, which is important. It's bad for him from a certain point of view. However, it gives him certain hidden advantages, especially in combat. It lowers his prowess outright, but dwarves can win through various tricksy means that normal warriors are not able to in this game. And for that reason, we are going to send out a call for him to find a spouse. Now, as you notice, I am sending a call for various types of people, but mostly fertile, marriageable age women. Now, one of my courtiers, ooh, well, this is useful. Yes, I'm definitely recruiting you. Now, Sega is my courtier, and she does not appear to be married, and I'm not sure why. So, since she has reduced disease symptoms, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make her my concubine. Since I have a mod that removes the cap on the number of children I'm allowed to have, and children of concubines can inherit, but are given lower priority, this is a smart move for me. Now, of my courtiers, my court physician's aptitude is average. Let's see. This guy is no more than average himself. Therefore, we have no need to change, because as you can see, replacing him would cost quite a bit of prestige, which is in short supply. And we have no need for that or desire for it, so let's see. Aha! He also makes a great antiquarian. Now, having an antiquarian is useful for us because, and this guy makes a good court tutor, we're going to need that. You want to keep some, but not all, of your court positions filled. Now, the not all can have a little bit of an asterisk in that having them all filled is ideal, but often you can't afford that. Right now, we don't have that problem. We've got plenty of money to pay all of them that we've recruited so far, but we can't just recruit them all willy-nilly, or it will come back to bite us on the butt. What we need to do at the moment is take a little bit of time for the ranks of the... Aha! I prefer the experienced mayor. Definitely prefer the experienced mayor. And we have also recruited our person here, Bodil. She is fecund and she's a forest fighter. We might, if we can zhuzh up that prowess a bit, be able to make her a shield maiden. We have 6 of 7 champions at the moment. But what we also have at our disposal is a few courtiers that are not yet married. And from that, for example, this one. Now, we need to make sure that the wet nurse, at least one of these, any of my children is a child, you are a child, any of my hostages is a child. Siga is not in prison. Siga is your courtier. She's under 36 years old. Reduces the chance for children to contract illnesses. Okay. Now, what we do is we find spouse, and then of these we sort by prowess, which yields this man here. Let's look at what he brings us. He is a 13. That's pretty decent. And he will accept a matrilineal marriage. And so we send the proposal, and hopefully we riz him over into our court, as the young folks say these days. That, by the way, for any of you who don't know and are confused what riz actually means, it is a hyper-contraction of romantic charisma. You cut off the ma, you slice out everything between the r of romantic and the riz of charisma, you smash them together, the 2 R's merge, and you get riz, romantic charisma. There's your lingot for the broadcast. Romantic charisma, that's all it means. It's not some weird, strange thing that no one's capable of understanding. Now, this guy, who is our Chancellor, is an absolute unit of a soldier, and we are going to get him a spouse. And we are going to sort, again, by prowess, and find this fine filly of a woman here. She has a 16. She's a poet. Oh. And she's wandering. Ugh. I cannot in good conscience recruit her, but this one is only slightly less. She's a little bit older, but then again, he's a lot older, so maybe an 18 and a 63 is, I mean, it's the kind of thing that happened a lot back then, but let's not, if we can help it. So we're gonna riz her over in, bring her in with this absolute unit of a trooper, and see what becomes of that. Siga is my woman. Gilda is how we got this guy over here, so you're a poet. Oh gosh. Not letting you marry. Not right now. This guy doesn't have a spouse, so he is 31, she's 25, she's comely enough. She... Need to reset for prowess again. Ulinar, you're lazy and you're ambitious and you're stubborn. We don't want you. You're sadistic, ambitious, and lustful, we don't want you either. You are sadistic, but also trusting and gregarious. You will accept. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, I love this song, especially when I'm playing in Scandinavia. It's just... It makes me feel like a Viking. Ah, yes. Here we go. Now, we have a son. The pickings are likely to be slim for him. As you can see, we've got nothing yet. But, give it time. Now, here's the last thing I wanted to mention. Periodically, when these numbers start flashing, you should check on whatever it is. This shows that time we absolutely massacred this boffin of a fool who thought to stand against us. And then this one is when we defeated Jharl Heralder. Let's see his relationships. Ah, he's got a ward. Okay. And that reminds me, we've got a son. Now, our traits are ambitious, brave, and calm, which are good traits. So, we want to pass them on to this bouncing, beautiful baby boy of ours. And as such, we are going to educate the child. He is now our ward, and as he grows older, we will get all kinds of opportunities to do useful things with him. But for now, we're just keeping him with us to keep him safe. And all of that, where do you think you're going? The bigger the pride, the harder the fall. Let's let them get out of range. And then an ambushed ambush isn't very nice. Oh, I love this music. It's absolutely brilliant. So, we're marching over up. It's already been raided, but because we moved quickly, we may be able to catch them before they can go to sea. We'll march clean back and see what happens. Maybe they're coming after... Nope. No such luck. It was a little bit of a sea raid, unfortunately. Can't win them all. Oh, hello. Notable... Oh, yes, you are indeed an experienced fighter. Let's see if we recruit to court. It's expensive, but we recruited him to court, and having done so, we will now find spouse. Not child, but adult. We will sort by prowess. And he is lustful. He is also vengeful. He's also wrathful, but she is also vengeful. Now, that's useful, especially with a lazy character, because she's less likely to be good at taking revenge. But she is pious according to our religion. So, I'm going to bring him in, bring him on board, get other one zhuzhed up and recruited, and having done all that, we'll now disband this army. And it is the 6th of July. There's just barely enough time left. We will declare war. By the way, back in the day, you typically didn't declare war at all. And we don't have enough for that. But what we do have enough for is to conquer a county. Because that takes piety rather than prestige. And since his armies are already busy fighting someone else, we raise up our own, march him in, and hopefully before he can come back to counterattack, it'll already be a done deal. And we also should take a look at our council, because this guy specifically is honestly kind of pants. And this guy's better at her job than she is. So we've replaced him. And let's replace this one with... yeah. This guy is... no, you know what? You know what, for now... ah! And here is where I show you a nifty little trick. Because yes, you can certainly sort for prowess, but you can also sort for something like, oh, that. And bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, we get what might at least potentially be an absolutely amazing steward. Now that works better with women. So that she is like just amazeballs at stewardship. The question is, can we appoint her? No. We cannot make her our steward, even though she is head and shoulders better than this jackoff here. So we have to grin and bear it for the moment. Now, as you may notice up here, we've got 3 out of 4 domain holdings. Those numbers, those are Rikui numbers. We need to get those up. And we're going to. We don't care if you... okay, we care about your being that accomplished a commander. Oh, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Let's see how much faster we can get this to go. It's speeding up a little. Ah, and my chief just gained the trait pregnant. Well, isn't that nice? And the new Gaudi endorses me. Everything is going well. Ooh. Disease outbreak. Sickness is spreading. But that's among the defenders, not our camp. Now, honestly, that's something that confuses me. You have these major sickness outbreaks during every siege, but it doesn't directly interact Or at least it doesn't appear to directly interact. With the actual honest-to-goodness plague mechanics that they have as part of the game now. And that is confusing to me and somewhat upsetting, honestly. And this is how we ambush your butt outside the gates of my own damn city, which you're caught between the defenders and me, and now you're dead. And now the war's won. Valuable prisoner captured. Let's see what we can do with that. We're going to move these guys over here to re-merge the armies. And, but courtiers, prisoners, ransom for 50 gold. All in a day's work. And even though I ransomed him, it hasn't changed the outcome of the war, even though he's trying to raise his troops over here. And as such, I'm not going to waste my troops. I'm going to enforce demands. I take what is mine by right. I disband all troops. And now, I do have to raise the troops again, but in a different way. This time I'm raising them over here. And I am now going to turn them into a raiding army. Because we need to go over here and rob some folk in order to pay for, well, various needful things that we want to pay for. Notably, the creation of my brand new duchy. Now, since it is already guaranteed that I'm going to raid here, and the raid has already begun, and I've got certain settings pinned on the army, they won't stop the raid if I order them to march somewhere else. So I can order them to march to the next raid target in advance. I'm not sure I like Halfdan as a name. That's a strong name for a strong boy. Good. Well, let's go with it. Now, I am the kind of Crusader Kings player that, while yes, I'm min-maxed to hell and back, I also try to roleplay pretty hard at the same time. I try to roleplay my characters as having a certain minimum level of intelligence, unless they are, like, actual literal idiots. And if that is the case, I typically attempt to play them as, you know, people I'm trying to get killed as fast as possible. Because yes, while I do roleplay, I also try to min-max, I try to balance the two, and since I try to balance the two, and I don't have enough money. Yet. Not yet. But I'm about to have enough money as soon as this army gets back with all of the stolen bullion it's carrying. At least I should. And if not, well, we can always raid some more. Now, as I was saying, I try to roleplay pretty hard in this game most of the time. But if I'm playing a character who canonically is a complete idiot, since I do not enjoy playing characters that are complete idiots in the game, what I will typically do is then I will play them as one of those idiots that is so stupid they're almost begging to get themselves killed. And that is how I try to eliminate that particular unfavorable character. Now, how many troops? Oh, yeah, this guy has a lot more troops than we do. And I think he's pretty close. His his military skills fucking suck. He's almost begging to get raided with that much incompetence. So, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Now let's figure out how much I need and how much his holds can provide. Okay, all we have to do to get the money we need to make ourselves a duke as well is just raid this one settlement. So, that's the play we're going to make. That is the play we are going to make. We are going to raid right here at Hamar, and I'm doubtless pronouncing that absolutely unforgivably badly, and I'm sorry, I'm a dumbass American, I don't know how to pronounce your language, and that's regrettable, but it's also true, and I apologize, but there's nothing I can really do about it, so please forgive me. We will also order them preemptively back to Oslo, so that if they can get out of here in time to escape with the money, jump, take the money, and run. Maybe, no. Unfortunately, we did not manage to jump, take the money, and run, but we might win this anyway, just because I'm so much better than this moron at commanding an army, and I think I just killed him. Damn. Did that guy die? No, he was never in charge of that, he was never in charge of that army to begin with. So, we're heading back home. We can get in here. We lost some good men along the way, but now we have enough wealth that we can create this here duchy, create the title. I am now a Jarl, and I basically have the 8-pointed star of chaos as my coat of arms, so that's interesting. And maybe, just maybe, he's at war. He's paranoid, which means basically it's nothing doing. I recently waged war against him, which also typically means it's nothing doing. But I've won. And since we trounced his ass so handily, and also oh, no. It is November. It is time to stop. To stop being a raiding army for the year. Actually, we're just gonna kind of YOLO our way over here. Nope, they disbanded. So, gonna head that way. We're gonna disband all. And now my my duchy is complete. And this is the duchy, so I'm not gonna move my capital yet, because you can only do that once in a lifetime. However, it appears that I have a little bit of a job for my marshal, in that these people have completely gone off the rails, and I need to make him fix that. I am not pulling in enough money to be able to transfer them to, And since we have gotten to this point, we need to... Oh, wow, he totally cannot afford to ransom his wife. Well, there is a way to doing these things in Scandinavia. If you can't afford to pay her ransom, they wind up serving on their knees as opposed to on their feet. Now, let's see what this guy brings. Ooh, he has quite a bit of prowess. We are going to gain a weak hook, and we are going to recruit him as a new knight for our organization. A new, whatever the Vikings call their knights. There's a specific term for it in the game, but I don't know what it is. And as such, we are just going to, at this point, unpause for a hot minute. And you're going to attempt to find him a spouse too, because we always kind of have to. Now, he is good at learning, so we are going to look for a woman with equally high learning, and there totally isn't one. So we look for a woman who is... genetically superior instead. Now, I'm going to take a moment to look at our faith, okay? Because a Satru, it has patron gods, it has warmonger, and it has blot. Now, blot is useful for a number of things. Warmonger also. Patron gods... It's definitely a defining feature of this faith. Now, blot, though... That's... It has its advantages, certainly, but not as many as it might otherwise have. There are better tenets than that we could take, and we will probably be reforming the faith eventually, but that is a very long out stretch goal right now. So, at the moment, things are getting unpaused, and I'm thinking that this video might be starting to run a little long. I will use these to start a private garden. I might gain the trait Herbalist, or I might gain Seeker of Knowledge, or nothing happens. Well, let's find out. Joined in holy matrimony. Excellent, excellent. Now, at this moment, I think it is time for us to say goodbye for a little while. My guy here has gone from having 0 legitimacy, which is the expected level of legitimacy because he has no vassals either. He is almost up to the 3rd tier. He has slightly reduced claim casus belli cost, slightly increased marital acceptance, and a bit of a short reign duration, which is good because he's a young up-and-comer. But next time, which will follow fairly close after this one, probably, we are going to be moving from this little patch we've carved out for ourselves right here over to starting to move into this area, maybe subjugate this guy, although that's going to be hard. And from there, you know, Scandinavia beckons, form Norway the Tanglehair will have his day. He is only 19 years old. A mere 2 years have passed. He has become a seeker of knowledge. He's still a devotee of prayer. He has 2 fine sons, speaking of which, educate child. And things, he has 2 concubines, one of whom is, not entirely willing to share his bed, but that will change eventually, because this game is complete bullshit about that sort of thing. And I intend to exploit that to the fullest, because, well, why wouldn't I? It's a video game, it's not real life, this is not the kind of thing I would ever either engage in or condone in real life. Keep that in mind, audience. This ain't that. But now is the point where we sign off, and you wait a little while for the next video to come out. It'll probably be filmed immediately after this, but only released sometime later, because editing does take time. So, from me to you, do svidaniya, comrades.